Probably, honestly, this might be one of maybe my favorite track in the game, maybe my second favorite track in the game.
The
Love racing here.
great track, like no warm up for the baggers, straight to business. Um, Something that probably I don't know if it's been mentioned much at all, but there are like very notorious bagging strats required, and obviously they're driving backwards so they can hit the boxes in last, as the odds of pulling the lightning is higher. But this track doesn't actually let you drive the whole thing backwards. You have to perform like a myriad of strats and things to be able to actually outrace the other person going backwards. So it's a really interesting track to watch, even from a bagging perspective. But right now, Jaggy getting the short end of the stick with the cloud there, sending him into 8th. So it's going to be interesting what we're going to be expecting from here, because I don't know. It's kind of anyone's game when it comes to the lightning here, because I think a lot of baggers are really well rounded at driving this backwards. So I don't know how you feel about that.
Somebody's broken away in the bagging department. I think Heaton might actually have the lead, judging from the minimap and the name that I saw. Yeah, the
Yeah.
problem, it looks like the bagger, one bagger had trouble getting up the stairs, which, as you said, is like one of the
Hard
strats on this
parts.
course that you
Yeah.
have to master. Let's see who's in the back. It's Q in 10th, making it up the stairs first. Heaton's struggling a little more. It's interesting, actually. Oh, driving forward now.
Driving forward now, opting to drive forward, probably realizing either potentially cheese it in 9th. Oh, really good play from Spain there, from Frank, forcing Jaggy to drop his star early. So potentially luring to a shock being held by a Luso, potentially. Since Spain trying to do some damage.
Making a play to just remove that dodge from play and hopefully get the star back in your possession and make the most of it later on in the race.
Yeah.
Bill in
Oh.
8th. That's so
Oh,
strong.
wow.
So
Okay, so
disgusting.
the really good play by Frank there. Frank is going to, yeah, we do a little bit of trolling, but in terms of clan warring, this is all part of the valid play. But he's going to be forcing him to use his bill by slowing down to red M, and that obviously is going to call a shock from Luso team, which Jaggy's going to dodge, and that's just going to bolster him into 2nd place. So this is looking really good for Team Luso right now.
I mean, unfortunate on Spain's part to win the bagging war and then have it get picked up in 9th almost immediately. I do have my sympathy there.
Yeah, no. Especially since, he pulled out all the hard strats, got out the big guns and just, up the stairs and was in 10th that entire time. But if the bill is in play, the odds of putting the lightning are drastically increased, but there is a sliver of a chance to pull it in 9th in a 10-player room. So you'll be seeing a handful of those as well. Hopefully not too many, because it's the stuff of broken dreams. I like the decision to reverse into the shroom. I do. It's not something that was necessary, but probably realized, like, if anything comes around this corner and I get hit in front of the line, these are valuable points that I'm going to lose. And when you're small, obviously driving way slower. So, like, a mushroom is way more impactful when you're shrunk as opposed to when you're full speed.
Yeah, a small clutch, little bit of an insurance play at the end, just in case like another item came around the corner or something else was
Almost
gonna
lost it
combo.
though. I don't know if you saw, but like if he like it was weird. Like he reversed and like the red hit him over the mushroom almost.
Yeah.
Like if he'd done it wrong and like hit the mushroom then got redded, it would have been tragic because they needed that top 2 there because they've got like a really good start here, top 2-4. That's going to set them off to a great lead, and that could have gone any other way. A bit bittersweet, honestly, for Frank with the marvelous play with the star there, only for the game to kind of just hand the bill in 8th. But it is something that does happen, and it all balances out. Mario Kart Wii being that massive balancing act where bad luck. Yeah.
Not to entirely discredit the race, but I have to say Luso got extremely lucky throughout that entire race. Like a lot of the big impactful moments came to them either through the shock in 9th, getting the bill in 8th, and then the other team, Spain, not getting a second shock with plenty of time for that to come into play. So, sometimes the luck just goes in your favor, and like that's how the game works. And it's your responsibility as a team on Spain's part to still clutch up in those quote unquote bad luck situations. But you do have to admit, I think a lot of things went Luso's way. Because I
Absolutely.
thought Frank was playing particularly well in the mid pack, and it's
Absolutely.
unfortunate that that wasn't rewarded.
No. What do you think about the Toast Factory as their pick for 1, 2, 4? Because, I mean, like, so this one is an interesting one in terms of running ability because it kind of allows first place to break away, especially with the fact that you can just do the Shroomless late cut as well. But you can play the Lightning around that massively. Like, Lightnings in the second half of the course are absolutely devastating because of just that mud section. If you get caught anywhere between these boost zippers. Such a great pull in second right there from Jaggy. That's exactly what you want on a track like this. To be top 2, hit the box and pull that shroom, lets his teammate pass, and now he's pretty much got insurance against the blue shell.
Yeah, this is a really, really good spot to be in. Like, properly nailing the shroomless, I have to say. That was just, like, really well done to get in the lead right away. Monster getting 2 sets of triple shrooms mid-pack. It looks like Jaggy and Monkeys are just like set to run another course right now. Monster may be thinking about using this shroom to try to crack this top 2. Finds himself in second place. Jaggy still with this shroom, I imagine, so he's not going to have anything to backspin this guy with.
No, exactly. Yeah, still holding on to the shroom because that insurance is really, really well needed, and probably going to rely on his teammate to, you know, kind of make his way back into second, but still looking really, really good on Jaggy's parts. And as I say that, commentator's curse. Kind of just adding insult to injury there for Monster. At least he doesn't have it, and he passes it over to a Luso team. But yeah, this isn't a great position to be in. Potential for a second Lightning Bolt to hit. Most likely going to happen when most people are out of the factory or getting people into boxes. Not really the item that he's looking for there, though. So I'm not sure what they're really going to be able to do to salvage this one.
So little time to make a big change in the race now, and clearly so much of Luso finished at the front of the pack. That's a really, really good race. I imagine, unless something dramatically changed at the front that we missed, but I don't think it did.
I think they managed to maintain their lead, yeah, from what we saw.
Because Monkeys ended up falling back, so I saw him fall out of his top position, but Monkey.
I know what it is, right? It's because you're watching 9 monkeys drive around, right? Or gorillas or whatever.
It's because it's literally monkeys on the screen. It's in the game.
I know, it's monkeys.
He has a monkey me, dude. Look at it. Look at it, the me.
Yeah, you're right. You're all right. He's playing trickster on you.
He just threw a K in there. I had like a Mandela effect moment because I was like looking at it because I said monkeys the second time and I was thinking to myself like, is that right? To be
fair, one of the tables did have it spelled as monkeys, and that kind of threw me off guard as well. But
dude, yeah, they're erasing history. They
are. It's Berenstein Bears all over again.
I know. Oh, this is awful. Okay,
so,
well, besides being tricked about names, you know, two exciting races so far. Luso looks pretty solidly in control at the moment, kind of as we expected. Spain just having little moments of brilliance that they can't quite capitalize on.
Seeing some really good stuff in mid-pack from Spain, but unfortunately, like, it's just all been going great at the front for Luso. They've been able to run it, and then, you know, like, props for him for doing the shroomless, but he hits the box coming out of the factory, and it turns into a shroom. He's in second, he overtakes first. It's money. It's monies right there. So they've got the player names wrong. Jaggy should be being called monies at this point, because he's getting all the money plays. But we'll see what happens. We're only 2 races in. It can change. This isn't anything that we haven't seen before, that we're not prepared for. But I'm curious to the track votes. I don't know what Team Spain would want to do in this situation. They've opted for BC3. I don't actually know whether that was Team Luso that voted that, or if that was Spain. I want to say Spain, because I see this as a bit of a reset track. It was perfect. Thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, so BC3, as everybody knows, it's probably the most, like, I don't know, notorious track in the game, most well recognized, even for people that don't play the game. Everybody's aware of this track. Everybody's aware of the massive shortcut and the 2 variants of it that can be done. But not when there's a fake item box blocking it. So might be seeing that get removed by someone with a star or a mega potentially, since it plays a pivotal role in the race. So I think going around that turn wastes like 6-7 seconds or so.
Big time. So much. I mean, we'll have to wait and see if somebody starts going for Ultra here. He's clearly not blocked that first lap, but nobody going for it. And then a lot of people slowing down to go for the easier version of the cut, but, you know, realizing that nobody wants to take this fib out of the way. And with it in place and what looks like, yeah, LSA in top 2, I can't imagine they want to unblock this right now.
No, not at all. And yeah, you see Monster with the shrooms here. He's going to hope that someone gets rid of it. Potentially someone in his team. Perfect communication there. Teammate realizing, look, I've got a shroom in third. They're top 2. I need this cut. I need to get by. Please drive into it. And with enough speed, you can kind of like hit the item without falling off and like make the jump anyway. And that's just completely turned the race over. Like, we saw, what, a top 2-4 from Team Luso? Now we've got Monster in first by a couple seconds. But we still have a lap. And a lap can completely turn the tides. We're seeing Aga using a star in mid-pack on the final straight. Not entirely sure. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. I thought that was a bit of an attempt to potentially knock someone else off. Not a dodge attempt, but...
Yeah, it just came so late in his star. There must have been a reason they called it like that, but that dodge might put him in a really good spot. They were just maybe making sure that none of LSA was in their dodges or like out of anything they have. Jaggy unfortunately missing his low trick. A POW coming out in this corner. Monster getting sent in the wall, but it doesn't matter. His lead is big enough, although ZN trailing a little close behind him. And Monster setting himself up to finish in first here with LSA trailing in the spots in 2-3.
It looks like they might have full fire from Spain though, so this looks like potentially a winning race on Spain's behalf, which is what they need. Really unfortunate for Jaggy there. I have played this track a lot. Those lows are way harder than they look, especially in an environment like this where you've got, you know, points on the line. It's hard to do. I think what happened there was the wheelie didn't come out. You kind of need to be moving at max speed. I think the hop was golden, but there was no wheelie attached to it, so he just went for a bit of a swim in the lava. But yeah, as you can see, like the call with the unblocking of the cart pretty much decided that for Spain. Like they really needed that. And they're probably really happy that they were able to do that.
I love to see that. It's like a really critical play, right? It requires multiple players to execute properly. I will say, unfortunately, Luso grabbing 2 through 4 there. So it's not as good of a race as they were hoping for, I imagine. The dodge on Ager's part not really moving him up as many spots as you'd expect.
Yeah, it's hard to say. He potentially may have opted to go around the cut, which unfortunately is not really something that you can do. What I would have been interested to see is potentially hold that star to let them do the cut, and then have them do the shroomless cut with the star, and then dodge them, and then prevent everybody else from going over. That's a really powerful thing that I'm starting to see more and more, especially since with a star, you actually don't even need to charge a mini turbo, because mini turbos don't really do much. You can kind of just stop, line up, and book it. But it's always an interesting track to spectate, that one, because you never know what's going to happen, and there's countless possibilities as to how it may change.
Yeah, that course is so dynamic.
Versatile. Yeah,
it's like you could go into that last lap, and so much can change depending on the execution of all the people around you. I remember watching Netherlands play that course last year, and why am I blanking on the best Dutch player's name right now?
I remember this really good match, but I'll remember it later.
Leops, yeah. Leops.
You really forgot my name, dude?
I don't. It's embarrassing.
After last year, literally
I know.
the whole you drop this king thing.
He carried so hard on that course every time. Leops would pull up to the cut, stop, and just do ultra like every lap. It was like a freak of nature. It was absolutely insane. I'm really sad that he's not on the Dutch team this year, because they're clearly having a much rougher time.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think they'll be okay. I mean, the team spirit's still there, and they've got some really, really solid players. And I mean, he was the heart and spirit of the team last year for sure. But I mean, you know, sometimes there's a lot of players that are not coming back that for their own reasons, one way or another. And I mean, that just kind of happens. So. As for Move You Highway, sometimes Move You Highway kind of just happens. I mean, like, right now we're witnessing, what, Spain running in first, and you've got Jaggy holding up the rear in second, but trying to figure out who's around. So Monster's going to do their absolute best to be a monster and kind of fend off this lead. Really good POW for Monster, I want to say, because that kind of messes Jaggy up, forces him to take the turn wide to avoid the milk truck. He misses the boost, which extends the lead. They're just going to... I don't know if... I haven't seen any blue shells, actually. This is something to mention. Have you seen any blue shells? I haven't seen any.
That's actually a really good point. We're like 4 races in, and
yeah, we're an entire GP, and I don't know if one's being held, or... I mean, like, potentially on TF, but, like, if the team had a shroom, like, surely they'd choose to use it. I don't know. But... I don't know. Things like massive changes on Movie are kind of hard to come about because like the lightning is nowhere near as impactful. Oh, what on earth? Well, that wasn't the lightning, but something happened there. I don't quite know what that was. I don't know if you have an idea. It's what occurred in front pack there.
No, multiple people. Oh, what happened to Jay? What happened to Monster? What?
What? Oh no!
He hit another.
No, that doesn't count. Oh no! I think it was his own team. Okay. I don't think that really changes anything. That instance that we saw at the very end there. I'm more interested at what happened around the turn, the big turn, the killer turn, because my man was in third and he drove around the turn and top two kind of just I don't know, bumping heads there, and there was a green on the floor. So I don't know if like potentially like red was.
I think. I think first went for like a trick on the side and trailed the person in second. But on like accident, I don't know. It was very weird.
No, I think no, it wasn't there. It wasn't near the trick section. It was the big turn, like the one before the end of the course, like the tunnel. You know, like the one where the milk lorry comes around. Like someone was in third. I think we were spectating someone in third, like Jaggy in third, and then suddenly around the turn, everybody's just dying. It was interesting. Oh, I'm getting word of what happened. Okay, there was a ground shell. He hit the truck in first. He dropped a ground shell, and then ZN hit the ground shell. That's what happened. Right.
Awesome. Running into the truck in first. That's a classic.
Awesome. Thank you for filling us in on that, chat, and Iric as well, because yeah, I think we switched perspective right before then, so we missed that. I don't know. That was a decent race for Spain, though. I mean, like they were able to capitalize on Monster hitting the truck. Maybe the shock was used to negate that. I'm not sure.
Well, it did come in right after. It felt like there's some sort of desperate attempt to whip it out in order to save the race. But overall, a solid GP in Luso's favor. And Spain down by 24 points. Not that much, honestly. Like, it's not a disaster. Super reasonable to have come back from this sort of deficit. But I think they're just going to have to round things out going into the next couple GPs, because I think the consistent thing here is, like, aside from the couple races where Monster was at the front for a lot of it, I feel like Luso occupied the top spots for pretty much every race, and Spain was really, really struggling to find a way to get, like, to dodge properly, to get blues. They just did not have the tools to break the top spots of Luso.
Yeah, I think like N64 Bowser's Castle is like a pivotal example of that, because they had that top two break, and then you had Jaggy in the back with a bill. So when they were able to coordinate that bill usage, like they had all of the top spots anyway, and then they were able to get their lower, lower position players up the top to get them those hefty points that they're going to be needing. Starting out with another track. I think this was the first track of all of the events on Friday. I'm pretty sure it was really, really weird to see. But this track's becoming more and more popular. How do you feel about this one, Aiden? Tell me what your opinions are of this track.
It is funny. I think you're right. I think the general sentiment of this course has like changed over time. I think like it's sort of a weird and different track to drive, especially if you're not like a super experienced or very good. And I think as the sort of like the meta has evolved and people like want more skill-based tracks like over time, or like tend to favor skill-based tracks over luck tracks, this track has become more favorable. Yeah, I think there's just like, when I think of challenging tracks to drive, this is like probably on the top of my list. Like
really
in my top 3. I think I really struggle. There's just like so many things like jackstrat and things like that make it a little difficult, give you that small room for error in execution.
I think we actually just saw the first blue shell that we've seen all event hitting that player back there right before the wiggler section. So this track, again, it's another track where if you know how to drive it and you know the strats, you actually tend to not hit many boxes at all. But you're able to just break away and cause absolute massive damage, where the only thing stopping you are blue shells. Potentially might be seeing some kind of shenanigans with the cannon here, but they might be trying to get Monster out if Luso have it. Other than that, they're going to want to shock Monster in the cannon now, but it's not coming, so I guess we'll see. Yeah. Is it in play? That's the question.
Oh, Monster hitting his backspin there.
Also
hitting the wiggler.
Oh dear. I don't think he's used to being on that kind of pace. That was a really, really good attempt to sabotage him with the banana there, but him sniping it out of the way, he's going to need to fight for that top spot. Being 24 points behind, they need those extra 3 points really, really badly. Jaggy's going to do what he can to kind of fend him off.
Monster looking like Spain's MVP right now, man.
He's really, really pulling it together, isn't he? Like crazy.
Oh, the shot.
Or maybe he can draft him.
Right
No, he's a bit too far off, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, there wasn't really much that would have changed the way that outcome happened because Monster was in the worst position. So I was potentially thinking maybe shock them on the net, because the net is a fatal place to get shots, and it can cause all kinds of like catch-ups or even being shoved off by someone who dodges and shrooms. But they were just too far ahead for the rest of the pack to really change how top 2 was going to go. Obviously, the wiggler hit, not really ideal, but I mean, hey, it was blocking the road, and like unless you're really, really like what's the word, like accustomed to Maple Treeway and cycles, that's another reason why I think people vote it, to try and catch people off guard, because a lot of people when running don't actually know the wiggler cycles too well, and don't actually know that like lap 3 on slightly less than ideal pace, that first one just completely blocks the path, and you kind of need to either follow it and go to the right of it or cut it off and go left.
With that one in the books, it's the lead stretches out a little more, a little further each race, and I think these small wins, just keep adding up. Spain has like such a big mountain to climb if they're unable to even get races where they win by more than a couple points.
You had that one race where like BC3, incredible plays from Monster and the teamwork there, but unfortunately Luso being able to secure 2, 3, 4, managing to make it a positive race for Luso. So they're going to need to be hitting more top 2s if they can, or if Luso manages to secure first, they need to be doing what Luso did to them on BC3 and get that 2, 3, 4 just to nullify it out. I'm really curious about these track votes. You've got Dry Ruins and you've got N64 DK's Jungle Parkway, but we're opting to go for DDR. Now, Zien is a bit of a monster at this track from what I've seen as well. So if he can get up there, he's gone. So that's something to look out for. Absolutely. And then Jaggy starting in first. Not entirely certain. He's quite well-rounded as a player, but I don't know how he feels about this track. So this will be an interesting one to spectate.
It's nailing Sandhop out the gate, which you'd love to see. I do think that this track, on the subject of difficult tracks to drive, when I was talking about Maple Treeway, Jaggy with a small error, that's going to let Monster claw his way into first. He trailed somebody as well, but hopefully not his teammate, and messing up the wall glitch. Jaggy just all over the place, and Monster finding his way in the front, with Agger close behind him, so this is a Spanish top 2 right now.
But you don't forget Zien, you've got them chilling in like either 4th or 3rd, I'm not sure. They're not. Okay. I mean, that works for Jaggy, right? I mean, like, he tried to run for a bit, had a bit of a hiccup, but now he can play absolute crucial pivot to his team, hold the blue. They've got that top lead. It's another track where,
wait,
so be
why
losing.
Are they holding it?
Why are they holding it? Probably because he's trying to get him out of first. I'm not entirely sure. I see why. They've got Monies right behind him in second. He's probably thinking, if I can get him out of first, then I'm in first, and then you're holding the blue for me. Because obviously holding the blue is really, really beneficial to your team, right?
Yeah.
And if you can red the other team out of first, and then you've got the blue, you're golden. But opting to choose it, or opting to use it rather, This is really, really close for a DDR race, so I'm not sure how comfortable I feel about this.
Yeah, the pack is so tight. Jaggy just whipping out the star. It doesn't seem like Shock. I don't know. Neither team really looking like they have Shock at this point, honestly.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard one to call on this track, though, because like Shocks in this one can sometimes... Oh, that's not going to be what you're looking for. Yeah, slight hiccup there with the wall wrap. Kind of leaving it a little bit too late, so he's going around the corner. Doesn't break the red, unfortunately, and pulls probably the worst thing possible to get away from it. Is Monster going to be able to get any leverage out of that?
Frank getting owned on the line. No.
Yikes.
Unfortunate.
A lot of Mama Spaghetti going on that race, I feel. But then again, like you said, DDR, not the easiest track to drive.
Yeah, there's just so many components in nailing a good lap on that course, which is why it's one of the more fun ones. I think like a lot of people just enjoy playing on that track in general. But yeah, that was a pretty wild race. Shockless. We saw our first blue shells, and Spain out on top. The 1-3-4-5. Huge race for them, honestly. That's the type of race they really, really need to be back in contention for this, because now they're only 10 points down.
I'm glad that my prediction was right. I said prior to that race that ZN is an absolute monster on that track, and he's someone you got to look out for. And he was the player in second place that was able to hold it together for Team Luso. The one guy. I mean, yeah, they were up 24, and now they're only up 10. But that second place is what is keeping them up still. Like, had he not have gotten that and they'd gotten top 4-6, we'd be looking at potentially Spain in the lead right now. So it's those little victories that you need to count for. I don't know. It's just there was a lot of weird decisions that race. I'm not entirely sure about the blue shell play, whether or not they didn't know if they were in first or if they... Because if the two players are too close together, right, if a blue is fired, it can sometimes split and go for both. Maybe on our perspectives, we clearly see that one's ahead of the other, but them in game, it may tell a different story. You know?
Yeah, it may have been more ambiguous. There may have been a reason to wait. It was just an interesting scenario where we saw someone get a blue. They just hung on to it for the other team for a while.
Yeah, just like let them drive it for a bit. I mean, like if you fire that blue and then that teammate fails the wall wrap and then your other teammate passes before the blue gets there, like you kind of self-own your team right there. So I don't know. I don't think it was a terrible play. But there were a few mistakes from Luso's part that they could have avoided, and that would have worked out a lot better for them.
What's your opinion on this track?
I love it. I think it's great. You don't like it based on that? Yeah. I think it's really versatile. Kind of like the other one that I mentioned before. I've already forgotten the name of the track, but yeah, a BC3, but nowhere near as ridiculous because you need shrooms. Really good blue pull in fourth from Monster. They're going to be getting monies out of first there, so they can have top two. Probably hoping for a single shroom here. Woo! There you go. That's why this track's great, Aiden. You love it. You love to see it. What, you don't like it? What, you don't like getting like the single shroom, like 10% in second? You save 5 seconds? That's what keeps it interesting. That's what I love. No race of this is ever going to be the same purely because of how like shrooms in that one part are really, really, really beneficial.
That cut is so ridiculous for what it is.
It's great. It's fantastic. I also absolutely love the hedge maze. Like the fact that you've got all these split paths with the chomps with the boxes. It can really change it up and make some last minute things possible. Because we haven't seen a shock yet. And I know a lot of people favor the first set of lap 3 to get people in. Ooh, I like it. There you go. Look. Beautiful. Beautiful play right there. ZM going to be taking the cut in first in a star. Due to the bagger driving into the chomp after having pulled a star. It's those kind of plays that I really love to see from bagger.
Yeah, I do appreciate that on this track. One of the few tracks where it's like so easy to drop items like around several places. Oh, unfortunate for ZN because he's gonna get blued. Monster not capitalizing.
No. Oh dear, no. Oh lord. Maybe they can hold on to it. Like Spain, kind of a big mistake there. Not the kind of thing you want to be doing. Like they've pretty much given ZN the win no matter what. Unless that red connects, he's gonna get shock redded. But he's quite far ahead. Not sure if it's gonna really help.
He cheered. He
did connect. Yeah, it did. But he's I don't know. That star was huge. That star is what got him first. Obviously, Monster like crashing into the hedge and doing a bit of like gardening on a Sunday afternoon didn't really help things. But Without that star that allows him to take the cut, that blue hits him, and he gets passed not just by Monster, but by everybody else as well. So
I just feel like that, yeah, the play, super critical in getting ZN first, would not have been possible without it. However, I just think that's such a massive choke on the part of Monster. Like, you really have to be ready to capitalize on that resource. You could even wait. You could even attempt to blue him at a different section of the track, like just waiting a little bit longer.
But they salvaged it.
Wow.
They salvaged it. We didn't see what happened behind Monster there, but they definitely salvaged it. So, incredible play to help ZN secure that first, but unfortunately not really doing too much to help the rest of the team. Yeah, I don't know. That's another race that's going to flip the ties, and I'm pretty sure that puts Spain in first by a fair bit, if I'm not mistaken.
This is crazy close now. I think I just didn't expect it to be here.
You're just sitting there in awe, like, wait, what just happened? Huh?
Yeah. What? The change in play out of Spain to switch this around. Now up by 3, going into race 8. This is incredible. I think, like, I would love to see my expectation of Luso kind of initially as stopping this war fall apart. Like, I'd love to see Spain take a win here. Spain winning, if I'm not mistaken, Spain winning here actually does change up the group, especially if they can pull out the miracle win against Scotland later. This completely changes the scope of how this group works.
I think it's going to come down to which team makes the least amount of mistakes. Because a lot of the item plays I'm seeing, or like item distributions, who's doing what cut and whatnot, it seems to be pretty balanced between the teams. But I think most of it's going to come down to like nailing these strats and like the teamwork that they exert between the races, like the blue shell on DDR, for example. The hedge maze, the hit not really doing too much for Monster in that race though, which is really interesting. But another track, again, I think you like this one, if I'm not mistaken. You find this one quite enjoyable.
I love this track.
Yeah. This one's like BC3 on steroids.
Jackie!
No! Speaking of mistakes, that is being given the golden lottery ticket and just throwing it down the drain right there on GV. Not a position you want to be in. 2 Strooms in first on a track with a shortcut that saves about 7 seconds a lap if done right. But no, I mean, like, still gets the respawn, not the worst thing. Blue shell coming, but I mean, that could be Jaggy in first dodging that right now. And then he could be taking the respawn lap too. And he'd have a Tyrannosaurus lead, but instead ZN tanking the blue again. What a beast. And what am I seeing? Is that Monster in second with 3 Shrooms?
Oh, he's just going through.
No! Okay, alright.
Okay.
Alright, I see, okay. If there was no shot coming, I would have just put my hand in my face right there. I don't know if I agree with that plan at all, actually. Even with that, I honestly think that's a waste. I think they let him do rock, and then they do something lap 3. Because he has a shroom for insurance to dodge the blue, and then he gets to do respawn.
Yeah, and I think... Oh, no, they're in top 2, because Jorge dodged with him, so maybe that's not that bad of a call. I actually thought that was Money's initially, but it wasn't.
Yeah, no, I also had the same thought. I thought it was that team. Oh, that's going to be huge.
Themselves in top 3. The question is how many members of LSA are going to be able to take the cut here. Frank wanting to hand off that Thundercloud, but Jaggy's going to get the Shroom to remove himself. This last-minute blue coming in on the line. I don't know if it's going to connect with anybody of value.
It takes the cloud from him, though. No, it did the little hit to say, yep, it's yours, but not going to pass. Kind of huge. Wow, what was that? What a race. Yeah, I see why you like that one now. I don't even know what I just watched. That was really strange.
You know, it's a lovely course. You can even make like songs about it and like YouTube videos about it and stuff like that.
I can't believe I've just watched someone with 3 Shrooms in second do the respawn though. Like, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked for him, right? It worked, right? Let's have a look. Yeah, look, that's working. Like, top 2 secured, 5-6. I wonder. I really wonder. And Jaggy's still getting 4th out of that. Like, with that misplay lap 1. Like, it just goes to show, like, it's not over until it's over, especially on that track. But ZN on a very solid score this GP.
Monies and Luke with their 12 each is going to be really rough for that one.
Yeah, it's definitely not what they're looking for. But I'm glad that Zien's able to like hold it together and has been, chiseling their way into the top spots to not allow Spain to, completely flip the table over and then, completely crash up the entire shop. So, I mean, point standing isn't too bad, honestly.
I think
We've seen
Spain
worse.
is in the lead, right? I think
Yeah,
the scores are
especially with
the
that
other way
one.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the scores are definitely inverted.
So
But
253 to 235 in Spain's favor. They've made such a massive comeback off that GP. Such a strong performance from them. Uh, and this has become really, really exciting because now they have to maintain this like sub 20-point lead across these last four races. And we're kind of coming down to the wire. I think the thing with a lot of these play-in wars, bar a couple exceptions, is that they've been huge blowouts in one way or another. But occasionally you get this lovely, super close war that comes down to every race, and this is what it's shaping up to be at the moment.
I'm really curious as to what tracks they're going to opt to go for because we've seen mostly a lot of run heavy tracks and then a few resets. So you've had BC3, Peach Gardens, and GV as like what I would consider the reset courses. But everything else has been kind of tailored towards running. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be a persistent theme because we've still got BC Wii left, we've still got Rainbow Road left. You've still got quite a handful of tracks like Wario's Goldmine, Waluigi Stadium, and yep, there it is, BC. I wonder what team opted for that one. Probably Spain. But, I mean, you've got some really strong Luso Alliance players in this. So this is going to be potentially a really interesting one. It depends what he's going to do with that as well. Okay.
This bomb
Maybe
can
not.
be so chaotic on
Yeah,
these first
maybe not
turns,
today.
but there's basically, oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
managing to connect with a couple Spanish people. The pack spread out enough to not hit any teammates, it looked like, which is actually a pretty rare scenario. But Spain's starting off a really critical running track, very far back in bottom positions, which is not what you want to see. I don't know if anybody on the part of Spain is like particularly good at the glitch either.
I don't. No, I don't think so. We saw what Jorge go around, right? On Daisy taking the left split, so usually most Daisies take the right split just in case, just to like gauge whether or not it is blocked or whatnot. But I don't know. It's even though it's something that saves so much time, it's something that we're only recently starting to see teams do. Oh, not. Oh, okay.
Trade.
That's a trade.
No, that's Spain in first now. That's a member of Spain in first. Off
It
that.
is,
That's great.
but they're able to. They have 2 free still, and I mean, like BC, as you know, respawns awful, god awful. So if they have the lightning, they can coordinate something huge. Especially, actually no, it's hard to say. With the star in 6th. This is anyone's game. Well, you got a blue shell there, but I think they dodged it from what looked. Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. So that weird exchange that we saw at the start of lap 2 allowed Frank to get into first with a shroom and to dodge that blue, I think, which is huge. But I mean, like, the pack's really tight for a BC Wii race going into lap 3 here, especially with Monster with his star in 6th. What do you think they might do with it?
I think with your player in first, but also so close to the person in second. I mean, you're just forced to whip it out now. That's 2 people in the part of Spain in stars. I imagine if they don't dodge here, this just means Luso has the shock, and they're just going to hold it. No reason to use it right now. And unfortunately, with a couple people in positions to get dodges, I think it's very possible that there's a last-minute Luso dodge at the end.
Oh, wow. You hate to see it. Having the bomb and getting bombed yourself. Always a bittersweet moment. It's a great pull, but it's a little too late, I think. He's not really going to get much leverage out of that, even if they do happen to pull it and use it. But like you said, I think Luso just opted, you know what? There's no use. There's no reason to use this. Or neither team pulled it, which is possible. I mean,
Also
it's rare,
possible.
but it does happen.
I will say something. We were talking about how there was no blues during the first GP, and I think that one race may have made up for it. I think I saw 4.
I believe so. There was a handful. I mean, Frank definitely dodged that first one because there was nothing going on there, but then there was definitely more from that point onward. But BC, again, really tech heavy, really favors front running, but the drawback, so many item boxes. So many. Like, the two on the half pipe, the main ones in the room, you can kind of slow down in that wavy room to get multiple boxes as well if you're trying to farm sets mid-pack. So, blue's definitely more likely, more common. So, you can definitely see, like, crazy amounts of blues on that track.
Oh, ZN in Twitch chat confirming that nobody had the shock.
Wow. Now that is not what you want to hear when you're holding a star in 6th and 5th, right?
Yeah,
I think that's what we saw, right?
They held them for so long. Monster had that star for like 2 laps.
Oh, we're seeing an after 9. This is really, really awesome. Thank goodness, right? Wow, this is a lot tighter than we generally anticipated. I remember going into this, you were saying, yeah, I'm thinking Luso team really strong. Spain missing some key component players, probably gonna, you know, keep it real for a bit, and then they might get, you know, like Luso team breaking away. But we're actually seeing the opposite right now. We're seeing Spain with a slight bit of an advantage. Demonstrating a more, again, even point spread between team members. Only a 12-point difference between their first place and their 4th place player, which is crazy.
Yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous in terms of how solid the performance is across the entire Spanish team. Whereas it feels like on the side of Luso, things are kind of falling apart.
Speaking of falling apart, does this track make you fall apart? Do you approve of this? How do you feel about this one?
I actually like this track.
Good! That's the right opinion to have. I'm glad that people are starting to appreciate this track a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a very... I think it's just a very unique track in the game. Like, I don't think any other track, like, plays the same way as this one does.
Not sure if that was a flex, but I like it. I approve. Nice wall collision there. I mean, they're holding up really good spots right now. You can run this. It is doable, especially, like you said, it's unique with the ice is off-road, it's slippery, it's hard to drive. So if you are proficient at driving here... Oh, okay. I like the attempt to anticipate that he's going to go tight, but I think Aga caught on to what was going on there. That was actually a star from his own mate, right? Actually, never mind. We were watching Jaggy, or... Oh, no, actually, I'm having problems in my head right now.
No, that was Agar starring Jaggy.
Yeah, okay. So that was intentful to catch him off guard there. The bomb throw to try and catch him off on... Oh, no.
Coming out of the invincibility at the wrong time. It's not going to slow him down that much, and this is like a race to chase down ZN in first, who has quite a big lead. Spain obviously filling in a lot of the spots behind him, but the pack is so close, and LSA has so many of the bottom spots that I honestly think LSA is in a favorable position on this track. More bombs coming out. This is the most...
I think I've seen four so far. Like one dropped in the shot, one fired forward in the cave, and one there.
Wow, and now the only top spots for Spain is Agar in second, with a large group of LSA surrounding him at the moment.
Yeah, you've got a lot of hit leverage from Team Luso up front as well, especially with Jaggy potentially getting Agar out of that spot's going to be huge. Is that Penguin going to assist? No. He's going to hold off second. This second's going to be really important. But that last second lightning from Spain, Monster's going to come along. Oh, no. Okay, no, you're... Okay, good. All right. That's not going to do anything, though, but that's fine. I mean, like, probably... That's the best thing he could have possibly pulled, I feel, out of that situation. Because guaranteed there wasn't going to be any funny business.
2-3 is excellent. I like to see that. Spain mitigating the damage. A race that's still going to be a small loss for them, but doing what they need to do, right? Which is just maintain your lead in this last GP.
Yeah, they don't need any, crazy races. If they can kind of just keep it slightly balanced and then some minor wins, that's all they're really going to be needing to do.
Yeah, that 2-3-5 helps a lot too. That's good.
I think that puts them a little bit further ahead, which is really good for them. They've already got that 23-point lead going into that race, so that should bolster it up a little bit. But that's still not enough to hold it together. Like, it can change, and we've got multiple races left. We've seen the tides turn many times over. But it's the tracks that I'm curious about. Like, if you're Team Luso, what kind of course do you want to take Team Spain to?
Yeah, it seems like across the board, no matter the past two GPs, no matter the type of track that they wind up on, Spain finds a way to make it work, even if it's a little more luck leaning, a little more racing leaning. Uh, they've managed to sustain themselves and slightly grow this lead, honestly. And now we're down to I think we're in the last two races, right?
Yep, and we've come to a unanimous gentleman's agreement that we're going to Cooper Cape. So, not sure how I feel about this one. Very, very important to mention, you can't drive this track backwards. So, there is this terminology for those that aren't familiar with the whole bagging etiquette and like the terms and whatnot. There's a running track, which is you can drive the whole track backwards and literally drive negative laps, and a sitting track, which means that there is something that prevents you from going any further backwards. On this track, it's the tunnel entrance. You cannot traverse up the tunnel backwards, which means that you're going to be seeing these baggers sit at the last item set in the tunnel, and they're not going to move from that spot most likely because it's the furthest item back that they can hit. And that's huge because that then means that there's no like fighting for the shop in 10th by going backwards and like out driving the other person backwards, but more about hitting the box at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it takes a weird like subset of skills to succeed as a bagger on courses like this. Spain, in a decent spot. They're in 2-3 with Money's in the lead, doing what they can to put the pressure on him. Money's, I'm sure, going to return the favor in a moment as he trails this banana. Oh, the blue coming out.
The blue show. Really making up for the lack of blues we saw GP1 right now, I'd say, right?
Oh, Jaggy in contention with Monster, and unfortunately Monster quickly giving up first. But this battle for first is so tight. Like, he's so close to Jaggy right now. Oh, might be gonna drop back for a little bit of a snipe.
There we go.
Huge. Bagger drops the star for him. Monster almost scooping that one as well. If there was enough latency, maybe it would have been possible. But yeah, this is going to put Jaggy in a really good spot. First, breaking away a little further. Monster, as he has been this entire match, like doing what he can in the front, trying to chase Jaggy down. Oh, that pow slowed him down way more than I would have expected.
I think he might have clipped the side of the ramp. He might have had to make a split-second decision whether to take the ramp or not, but I'm seeing a lot of like floundering from both these players up front as well, so I think it's anyone's game at this point. Green is going to be the perfect item he's going to want to hold, yep, exactly there, to hold off any oncoming reds, and I think he's just going to pray for there to not be a blue. I don't know about the rest of the team, like how far up there are Team Luso. We've got Team Spain in second. We saw Monster up there the last time we checked, yeah. He's coming out with a last-second shot. Is it gonna do it though? Is it gonna make much change?
I saw Agger close behind. I don't know if he had anything like a shroom or something. Oh, I thought that wheelie might have been enough to scoop it, and that's a 2-3-4 for Spain. That's still really, really solid.
Absolutely.
A winning race. So, unfortunate for Luso Alliance. I mean, we're down to the wire here, and I don't know. Is it possible to turn it around now? Will the top 5 even do the trick?
I think it can, barely. I think just about. It's very, very difficult to pull, though. They definitely need a very, very big race. That ending's not exactly what they wanted. I really, really like the play from the bagger to drop the star so Jaggy can kind of get that lead. Oh, we're seeing a disconnect. Okay, so we do have one race left still. The room's going to be reformed because we don't play races missing with players because it's just not sportsmanlike. So we're going to be seeing the room reformed. That might actually change the way the race goes because the positioning is different now because we saw Spain with 2-3-4, right? And then I don't actually know if there's like etiquette on like who joins the room and how the room's formed and the order and whatnot. Right, okay, so the positions of the previous race are known. So they're going to have to join the room one at a time so that everybody starts in the exact same position as they did before. So that's what they're going to gun for. So that doesn't actually change anything. So that's good. I was worried about that because it's actually really, really interesting. But sometimes the opening positions actually decide how the race go. And I'm not sure if how you feel about DK Mountain, Aiden, but that's another one where if Spain have 2, 3, 4 and they go DK Mountain, they've got a Daisy, they might be able to, perform a bit of a clutch hold because all they need is first, right? If they just hold on to first, that's it. Like Team Luso can't, even with a crazy race, that 15 points is going to be huge.
Yeah, you really just need those 1-2 people in like decent positions to prevent Luso from making a comeback like this. So it's a really, really hard position to be in. I can't imagine. I mean, this is heavily in Spain's favor right now. This would be a very significant and exciting comeback if we saw it happen the other way.
We don't need to see an all run. So sometimes when the deficit is so large that they need to pull the points back, those extra points for the bagger getting 5th are like required, where it's referred to as an all run. I've been informed that that's not necessary. So they may opt to do it, or they may opt to, keep playing as they are, because I think the top 4 might be enough to swing it. Just about.
Top 4, yeah, I think top 4 actually might be enough to swing it. You're right.
Yeah, because it's 15, 12, 27, 37, and then is it 8 you get for 4th? 45, and then the other team. Yeah, just about, barely. No pressure or anything. Wow.
The odds are long. It is not very likely that we will see this end in Luso's favor, but it would be absolutely extraordinary if it did, and I'm waiting to see.
I forget. Did you say that Spain winning this would change the group seeding? It was yourself, right?
Spain winning this match puts them at 3-1 in their group, and they have 1 match left today, which is against Scotland. And then if they win this match and then they beat Scotland, then there's 3 teams that are tied at a 4-1 record, which brings us to point differential to decide who makes it out.
Goodness. So like, oh wow, because only 2 teams of each, right? So the team that scored the least be sadly going home. I don't know if I want to see that scenario, man. That's heartbreaking to do so well, like to win your games 4-1 and then just you didn't quite score enough points.
Yeah, it definitely is a less exciting way to be eliminated, but this might be Spain's one shot at making it out, honestly, which would be pretty wild to see, because I don't think Spain was predicted to make it out of this group. If you had to pick the 2 that were favored, I think it was definitely Greece and Finland, and Spain has been greatly outperforming their seed.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're waiting for the room to reform and for all 10 players to rejoin, who do you think in this matchup has exceeded your expectations? You want to say Monster, right? That's probably the name.
It's gotta be Monster, dude. He's played so well, like the entire war.
He's made a bit of floppy mistakes from left, right, and center, but it hasn't been too costly most of the time, I've noticed. But yeah, no, he's formidable at the front. I think you said that you were expecting to see Aga doing a bit more of the running. I mean, like, only a 15-point difference, so not that huge. So not saying that Aga's not performing well, but like definitely an unexpected performance, I think, on Monster's part. And I don't really have much of I don't know the shot count currently, and that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to with the whole spectator mode thing, is that just having that clarity, having that knowledge as to what team has it and how many they have, and being able to make those kinds of calls, because at the moment there's a lot of guesswork involved, so it's hard to see, like that one lightning on that one track, BC3 for example, like hard to tell what their idea there was with Aga using the star in the straight lap 2 and then getting him at the very end of his dodge.
Yeah, they gave Agar a little boost there at the end. The shock plays on the part of Spain, now that I think about it, have been like pretty interesting across the board. There's been like a lot of like non-traditional uses of it. It feels like often when that's the case, it's actually not a result of like big brain plays, but more like a result of miscommunication and then just sort of making it work. And that those have been the shocks in Spain's favor. Speaking of which, Q is just been has been doing a really good job bagging. I feel like the shock count is got to be in Spain's favor.
Mm. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like I don't want to make these calls and be like, oh look, Q's definitely pulling more of the sharks because Spain is ahead. But I mean, like there definitely has been some really good coordination on their part. I think like the Move You Highway thing where they were able to kind of like salvage that ending, because that could have gone catastrophically wrong with what happened at the end of lap 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting because we saw like what I saw race 1 from Team Luso. I was expecting to see a bit more of that. Like it seems like they had the control over RBC.
Yeah,
and
they
then,
had a commanding presence. And it went well enough. 20. What are we at? 27. Is it 349 to 322? Okay, so it's not as bad as I thought. 27 points.
No, not at all. Like point wise, like even if Team Luso do walk away with this one, not being the victors, like it's still a decent scoring, you know. Like they didn't get trumped, they didn't get whitewashed or anything like that. It's just they didn't have enough. They had. It's interesting because we've seen a lot of Team Luso players up there, especially ZN doing a lot of work there. To like in that GP2. Holding up those top spots to kind of keep it steady, but it's
yeah.
it's
I think a lot of the reason that it's like so close is sort of on ZN's back. This is absolutely my favorite part of the game, by the way, where we disconnect and then we spend 20 minutes getting into the lobby.
Yeah, I mean that's the joy of being on custom servers, right? I mean, I suppose it was probably that way back in the day, like 2014 and prior, when we were on normal servers. But
it absolutely was.
Yeah, we're looking like we're almost ready to rock and roll by the sounds of things. We've just got Zien giving us the lol, signifying how much they're fully enjoying this experience to be streamed to you guys today. I think we're just waiting on one more to join the room.
Yeah, it looks like the last member of Spain is struggling to join the room at the moment, which is it happens.
Yeah, it does happen. Sometimes you just can't make it in there, but we will get this match underway. It will happen. We're only one race off, and then once that course is done, we'll have the results for you for Team Luso versus Team Spain. And then I believe there's a match following this one, if I'm not mistaken.
We do have a huge schedule the rest of the day. Now that I think about it, we're like we're not even.
No, we're there. We're in the middle still. We haven't even made it out. Yeah, we got a few matches.
Spain playing right after this, actually, just heading straight into the Scotland matchup. I think, are you on that cast with Brawley for that last block?
Potentially. I'm not sure. Ooh. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Kind of playing it by ear at the moment, so, but yeah.
And then Spain in Mario Kart Tour. A lot of Spain on the stream today in general. Mario Kart Tour. I've been watching a little more of that game lately, naturally because of this event, and it's rather interesting to watch. The driving mechanics are just so different.
It's very different as a Mario Kart title, and for me, like, I played it before they added the whole online thing and before they had like the net play, so seeing the combo counter in the top and just knowing that doesn't mean anything, that's not relevant to the scores or anything like that. It's really interesting. And then there's obviously the mechanics of the whole driving through item boxes, and even if you don't touch a box you get given one. the whole double item scenario going on. Yeah, it's interesting, especially the courses too. Some unique tracks in that one that they've started pumping out. Yeah, lots of Mario Kart. Like if you like Mario Kart and you like competitive, you're in the right place.
Yeah. This is there's an overwhelming amount of content this weekend.
I might have to call in sick. Might have to be like, yo, can't come to work. Why is that? I am watching Endgame TV, watching Mario Kart Tour, because it's got my eyes and got my attention.
I'm watching mobile Mario Kart played competitively this weekend.
Oh, what are you playing on your phone? Mario Kart Tour? No, I'm watching someone else play it. Oh. Yeah.
Okay, well, with this last track, we'll be curious to see what is voted for. Spain, they don't have a lot to do. They just need to protect this final race. Just don't choke in this final moment.
VV2 from Team Luso. Interesting. Gonna, I don't know, preying on holding the shock and making some kind of massive turnaround play. I mean, it can work. I mean, if we're going based on the order of how Cooper Kate finished, I think Spain are starting out in 2, 3, 4, 5, or 2, 3, 4, 6. I think they might maybe opt for an all-run strat. I think that's what they're opting to do here, because there's no real reason to bag on this track. I think we'll find out immediately. Yep, all going forward. Right, we're doing an all-run. I respect it. Yeah, I respect it, and it's the best track for it. So.
Money's really needs to hang on to this first place. Monster putting the pressure on for Huge, being the person in second towards the front. Going for a little bit of a snipe. It's going to be too wide. Barely dodges that fib. Wow, that was so close. Shooting another green off. This is so back and forth in the top two. Just items absolutely everywhere. Jaggy with a POW in 10th. This is going to take out the whole group. Hopefully his teammate's not too significantly affected. Oh, they are getting POW-redded because of it. The shock coming in at 40 seconds at the beginning of the third lap. ZN benefiting from that. That's a top 2 on the LSA part. I mean, if the rest of the back of the pack can find a way to pass up Monster and Jorge, but time's running out. This course is so short. We're going into the final turn. This Bill's coming around. That's going to be top 2 for LSA, but 3, 4 for Spain. And I think that is it.
Yeah, a very, very, very noble attempt there. You've got to give them props for that. I do like the use of the shock. That it was almost like a jump scare. Like you weren't expecting it. You don't see shocks that early, especially on a track like this, where the most beneficial place to use it is going to be the first turn of lap 3. But we saw that I think on the last set of lap 2. But no, I mean a good race to close it out, not to get their spirits down. They played it well, another top 2. That definitely gives them a bit more points as well, which is going to help in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's a nice boost. And right after this, they're going to be walking into the behemoth that is Scotland. So I'll be super, super curious to see how they perform there. If they can make the upset, they create that 3-way tie, and then we have to get a little into the weeds to figure out who makes it out after that. But right now, they did what they needed to do. They shut down Luso Alliance. Luso's last war of the event. They have played all 5 of their matches. A really good showing from them. I think they outperformed what I would have expected. They're a pretty new, pretty fresh team that came together last minute, and they found themselves in the middle of this play-in group. So congrats to them for putting up a good fight, and huge congrats to Spain for winning in a matchup that I think they were definitely considered the underdog.